All right, welcome back. After that nice workout we just had with Elena in New York City, hopefully you got nice and sweaty, got all those toxins out, and there's only one way to always finish a workout, and that's to celebrate and have a little party. So we're going to go ahead and bring our next guest onto the show. He'll be joining us from Down Under in Australia. So please welcome to the show, Mark from Brisbane.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Oi, oi, oi.
What's going on?
How are ya?
Yeah, good. How'd you go in the workout?
Yeah, I did really, really, really well. My ears didn't even fall off. It was fantastic.
That suit jacket stayed on all right?
Yeah, it's going really well. How's my Australian accent? Still good?
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I thought you were from here, man.
Good, man. Mark, where are you joining us from today?
I'm from in Brisbane, so Brisbane, Australia, in my lovely kitchen. And I've got two lovely volunteers behind the camera as well, ready to drink the cocktails I make. So they've sacrificed themselves for the cause today.
Fantastic. How's everything in Brisbane? How's the weather over there?
Weather's starting to chill down a bit now. Being in the southern hemisphere, we get a bit cold about this time of year, but it's not too bad. So we're surviving, staying indoors, and living with it. Good, excellent. I had a chance to visit you guys out there about 7 years back, and actually almost got beat up by a kangaroo because of you. On a serious note. Yeah, the kangaroo's on its back legs, ready to pounce. And we're like, no, go scratch its belly, mate. Run over to it.
You're like, take a photo with it. They're really friendly. Oh my gosh, I'll never forget that moment. Well, thank you so much for joining us. So, what do you do down there in Brisbane?
I work for a group of bars, helping out their bar program, making cocktails and drinks and everything like that, and cocktail training with staff and general booze knowledge. So just helping out, getting people tipsy. Very good. I like it. Very good. So let's get into it. What will you be preparing for us today? Well, I thought we'd do 3 classic cocktails, and they're sort of cousins or brothers, something that's same, a little bit different. So we kick it off the first one with probably the most popular drink going around in the world, the Martini at the moment. So you ready to whip us up some drinks? Yeah, let's do it. I got my cup ready to go. Yeah, I'll send it through to you in the mail. What time is it? What time is it over there in Brisbane? It's drinking time over here. It's pretty safe. That's funny. It's the same time in Warsaw. Yeah, it's always is. 3 o'clock in the afternoon over here, so it's just about happy hour. Very good, excellent, cool. Yeah, it's 7 a.m. here, so we're getting ready to go with you. Yeah, nice. I like it a lot. All right. Yeah, so first we thought we'd start off with the Martini. So I'll go through a bit of history and then how we make the drink and how it came about, if that's cool. And lovingly enough, the Martini doesn't have any great written history. Could you believe, with a whole bunch of people getting real drunk in a bar, never writing things down. But basically, there's 3. It's come from basically it's a version down of a Manhattan. So you got a Manhattan, the Martinez, and the Martini. So it's sort of a bit of a cousin drop down from there. So first written about in 1884 by O.H. Bryson in the Modern Bartender way back then. So probably not so modern today. But yeah, so back then it was a sweeter version of a Martini. And from there it sort of got drier and drier and drier to what we drink today. So a little bit more easy drinking for the modern day palate. But yeah, so this is pretty much how we make it. It's nice and easy. Traditional style is always with gin. So today we've got some Bombay gin because I found a bottle at my workplace. Just do a good slug of that. So we do about 60 mils of that in Australia. So depending on how liberal your government is with how much booze you can pour, it's a little bit different. And then as well. So today we're using a German vermouth, Bazar.
What was that over there, Mark? What were we just pouring the second one?
Vermouth. Bang.
Okay.
Really should have got some endorsements this, damn it. Yeah, so vermouth sort of makes a martini. So vermouth, basically, vermouth comes from vermouth, a German word for wormwood, which every vermouth needs to have in it. So really nice herbal wine-based aperitif sort of style, which sweetens it up a bit. I've lost me one up. And basically that's pretty much it. So you put it in your glass, ready to go. It's one of the drinks. I'll add your ice. Beautiful. And give the guy a stir. I've got the world's longest mixing spoon here.
The spoon for giants.
Yeah, it's I'm not compensating, I promise. It's just something I had laying around the house. But it's one of the drinks, I think it's being claimed that it takes a minute to make, that a lifetime to master. So it's one of the drinks where it takes a bit of time to sort of get on board with it and sort of master, truly find out what sort of drink you like.
Very good. And are there any certain occasions that are best for this, like summertime, or when do people usually like to have this served?
About 3:07 on an afternoon, I think.
You know what? That's funny, Mark. I mean, you even got support here from Rizal joining us, saying you're the best bartender in Brisbane and that you are so handsome.
Yeah, he drinks a lot. I know it. A lot. Get out of Riz. But basically, get that guy and stir it into a chill glass. Chill glass is pretty important for this guy because you want to get it on and off the ice as quick as you can.
Okay.
There we go. So you're wanting the drink to chill down, but not overly dilute with water. Unfortunately, my TV screen can't go down to the bench, but it's there.
And Mark, when you say a chilled glass, is this chilled glass in the refrigerator or in the freezer?
Preferably in the freezer, but I'm lazy, so mine's in the fridge right now. So do as I say, not as I do. Thank you.
Very good. Mark, it seems you have quite a fan club over there in Australia. We got people chiming in that are really loving your smile, loving your looks. I mean, are you a bartender or a model over there in Brisbane?
The world's worst looking model, man. Yeah, the model that never gets paid. So,
how much did you pay people to comment on all these beautiful things about you today?
It's all my family members. I've just paid them to different accounts. To get us a bit of a spruce over there, but fake it till you make it. That's the theory.
Very good, excellent. Grandma's over there saying, "Oh, he's so handsome. He has the most beautiful smile in Brisbane."
Yeah, Nan's got 4 Facebook accounts, so they'll pop up soon. With your martini, just put a little lemon zest over the top of it. You can use olives if you like as well. I like a bit of citrus in there, especially with a nice floral style of gin. And that'll be your martini. It should.
Ooh, how's it tasting?
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty damn good. I'll just make it up my hands for me.
Who you got joining you there today?
I've got a couple of my housemate and a mate just slowly punching back the drinks we're going to be making today.
Very good. Nothing but mates.
So they got the hard shift today.
Mates on mates over there in down under.
Yeah, just punching away drinks like you would at a wedding in WA, mate.
That was very good. Excellent. Cool. So the martini's doing pretty good. What are the reactions of your housemates? They enjoying it or no?
Beautiful.
Yeah, she's only said it's beautiful because she's because she's behind camera. Otherwise, she'll give me some harsh criticism. Don't worry about
that. Very
good. So the different drink we're going to make from a martini. So that's like our old school classic, beautiful little beverage that works perfectly. Is a gimlet. So the reason why I like this drink, A, it's because it's damn delicious, and B, because it was actually created for medicinal purposes. So it was invented by the British Navy back in the day when their officers used to get gin rations as a part of their salary, pretty much, and they had to combat scurvy. So they'd have to daily drink lime juice, and so they'd wash that lime juice down with gin. That's one way to do it. Also, back in the day, they thought that gin was going to help against the scurvy as well, but they later figured out that was a total lie. But
there's been not much of a difference nowadays. I mean, we've upgraded to disinfectant in the States, so
yeah, exactly. Like 80% hand sanitizers over here, so it's pretty lethal when you wash your hands too many times.
yeah.
But yeah, so it's the Gimlet actually gets its name from a obviously in the British Navy as well. So it's all comes in with that. The other cool thing about it is it used to use, or it still does use traditionally, Rose's lime cordial, which is the world's first fruit concentrate as well. So back in 1876, they invented that. So basically, it's lime juice, a cordial as we know it today, but more sort of pure. So straight lime juice and sugar in there, so you can have the vitamins when you're out at sea and sort of be able to go with some long journeys along the sea. So for that bad boy, we use our friend Jin again. He works out pretty hard on this one. And we both make a fresh lime cordial. So what we've got here is some lime juice, this bad boy.
Freshly squeezed?
Yeah, freshly squeezed just before I started. So I made a bit of a mess, but I cleaned it up, hopefully, enough.
100% homegrown Australian limes, or where are they from?
100% from the closest supermarket around the corner from me. So yeah, with Australian grown, let's go with that. And balance it out just a little bit of sugar syrup as well, so to give that sweetness to make that cordial.
What is that there, Mark, that you're pouring in?
Sugar syrup. So it's just sugar and water. Just
Okay.
mixed one, just in a liquid form, so it's easy to use for bartenders.
And how much sugar do you usually put in there?
30 mils. So about equal parts lime and sugar, which makes a pretty balanced cordial, depending on how good your limes are. And then some ice. There you go. Beautiful. And we give that bad boy a shake.
Now you're really touting it for your fan club over there, showing your bicep angle, huh?
The half a bicep I have, working hard. But and we strain that into a nicely chilled glass again. Out of the freezer if you can, or the fridge if you pour. And then just strain that guy through. So it's going to be really zesty, really fruitful, bright, quite aromatic little drink. So, yeah.
Let's see the final. Oh, wow. Where does it get that cloudiness from?
That's from the sugar and the lime juice to sort of mix it all up. And there's aeration from shaking as well. So what you're going to do, as opposed to the martini where it's stirred down, this one you want a bit of dilution, a bit of chill factor straight away. So when you're shaking a drink, you want to get it in there, bash it pretty hard, pretty quick, and just pour it away. Whereas with stirring it down, you can more control about the amount of water that's sort of diluting into your drink.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Also, we have a guest over here, Rizal Ramzan, who's asking, speaking of shaking, should you ever shake a martini like James Bond?
Cheeky bugger. There's a few reasons or a few theories behind the James Bond shaking. One is he's a secret agent. A little bit of his lime zest for that guy as well. For your martini, if you shake it, it's going to be more diluted. So if you're a secret agent like Ian Fleming's James Bond was, you sort of don't want to be shit-faced while you're chasing down bad guys with like iron jaws and stuff. So it's an easier way of keeping the drink more diluted so you won't get as drunk. And as we know, he is a bit of a womanizer as well, so he wants to make sure that he doesn't put a foot wrong when doing anything like that. So it is one way of making a drink. It's probably not the bartender's favorite way of making it, but it is definitely one way of making a drink. Delicious drink, but not overly traditional. I think the story was Ian Fleming made it up just literally while he was writing. The more recent Casino Royale, where he's just sitting at the poker table and he says, "I want my martini like this." So it's sort of off the hat. That's how Ian Fleming made it up as well. So it's pretty interesting little twist for him.
Cool. Good little history. Thank you for that. And how is the Gimlet?
Oh, yeah, that's tasty, man.
Very good.
It's like a gin version of a daiquiri, I guess you'd say. But yeah, just a lovely little thing and a throwback to history.
Yeah. Mark, do you ever put any? When do you ever do you ever sugarcoat the top or anything like that, or put salt on top?
This guy here, he doesn't even know what I'm serving next, but it is Margarita. Intro. This guy. Tell you what, this should be this living, mate. Yes, we got the next one coming up is a Margarita.
Okay. That was my intro for it.
Yeah, smashed it, man. Smashed it. Who said that there? Yeah. Rizal, being a full moon or if tequila is on special, that's when he sees me coming out. I'm quite a big fan of tequila. So I thought the Margarita would be a good little segue to run into. Cheeky little bugger. The Margarita's got a pretty same sort of history as a Martini. They don't really have one. So there's a few different theories. Everyone knows it was pretty much made up in the 1930s when it really got fame. And there's a few different theories of how it came about. One is it's a daisy cocktail, which is a family group of cocktails which comprises of spirit, liqueur, and citrus, being tequila, Cointreau, and lime juice. Mm-hmm. The other one is daisy in Spanish is Margarita. So they're like, we'll make this drink. It's called a daisy, Spanish, boom, Margarita, have that. Popular name in the 1930s was Margaret, in Spanish, Margarita. And the last one, which I only just found out today while doing some little Googling, one guy's claim to it over in, I think, Texas, said he named it after Rita Hayworth, whose original name was Marguerite Consino, I believe. But yeah, there's about 5 different histories going around about the Margarita. But as with the Martini, it's sort of one of the things when what bartender has a pen and paper on him when he's making up drinks. He's too busy getting everyone happy to write them down. And then finish with a couple of shandies as well.
Mm-hmm. Very good. We had Sean tuning in, and he said, if you like Mexico so much, you should go to Mexico if you like tequila.
I would love to go again. I've been a couple of times. But yeah, I wouldn't mind going again. Sean Robert Toundro, if you want to pay for me a ticket, that'd be grand. Send us over, that'd be great. I believe he is partially Mexican as well. So that's probably why he's saying that. The cheeky little but he used to be a bartender back in the 80s when he was a young fella, but he's a bit old for it now. So that's probably why he's giving me some curry about it.
Yeah, you be handsome and have those good smiles.
Yeah, you got to fake it till you make it, and that's why I work at night time. I'm a 10 in the dark. But yeah, it's a little bit of oh man, everyone's thrashing me on here. Rubbish. Yeah, so we'll whiz up a Margarita. How about that? I think I've got
Margarita.
Oh, one little thing I think I only just found out today as well whilst Googling. You have the shaken margarita and a blended margarita, and it's sort of a big controversy of what happened first. So 1950s blenders became really popular / cheap and affordable for bars to use. So that's when the sort of blended margarita took off. So about 20 or 30 years after the margarita was sort of invented, created. And the first margarita slush machine, is actually in the Smithsonian Museum of American Natural History or something like that. American History or something like that. So that's a pretty dope little booze thing to be sitting around the Smithsonian over there.
Yeah, that's very good. Do you guys have slushy machines or usually just make it fresh?
I prefer them fresh. But if I'm at a party and people are going to be drinking a lot of them, I'm like, nah, bros, I'm blending these bad boys. Fake it till you make it is the old Australian way about it. And pretty well for me. It was like, should be right. Nah. You just got to get people drunk enough until they don't remember what they're drinking. And then you just give them straight spirits and your night's done.
Yeah, we actually have some friends who have a bar down in Korea, and they actually have a soju slushy machine.
Oh, great.
Yeah, because soju is such a popular drink over there, and they started making the soju slushies. Actually, were pretty good.
Yeah, soju is actually the second most drunk spirit in the world now, through just through Korean guys just slapping it down. We've had a few nights on it as well, which always gives a good party.
Yeah, I never knew how popular it was. I actually never heard of soju until I was in Korea, and I mean, it is just sold everywhere. It's really cheap, and so whenever you're at Korean barbecue, I mean, you're always mixing it, you're always drinking it straight, or you mix it with beer it's called mekju, and it's lethal. Terrible hangovers, but I had no idea how popular it was. Yeah, it's like the most or second most sold drink in the world, which is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. And considering they only really drink it in Korea, it's not. So it's always a good night, but
and and they always had the original flavor of soju for many years, and then I believe 5 years ago they started coming out with the flavored ones with like blueberry and pomegranate, and that really took off. And it's crazy because in Korea the bottle is like $1, $1 US, but if you go abroad anywhere it's like $10 or $15, and it's crazy to be paying so much for soju. But speaking of nightlife, and Korea has a huge nightlife in Seoul. How is the nightlife over there in Brisbane, in your neck of the woods?
Previous to COVID, it's gone all right. But we're still in restrictions, so all bars are on lockdown. Hence, it's coming to you from a lovely kitchen. Hopefully in the next few weeks or so, we can get a bit of a ban lifted and open up some bars again and start drinking. Done a lot of takeaway cocktails, and everyone's sort of buying them and drinking at home, and a little bit more house parties, or house drinks. We shouldn't say parties. They don't like us saying that. So just everyone's sort of creeping into staying at home. Where I've just moved into a new place, and a lot of people are staying at home and cooking a lot more, and you can tell that by the amount of fire alarms that go off every night. So it's just like a bit of a chorus where I live at the moment, anywhere past 6 o'clock, just whose fire alarm's going off the most, which is entertaining. You
Aussies don't really know how to cook then, huh?
No one in this building, no. No, they're absolutely horrible. So stick to the barbecue, boys, and stay outside.
Maybe people are firing up the barbecue inside. That might be the problem, huh?
Look, we're not known for our geniuses after a few beers. So maybe just to keep each other warm, just bring the barbie inside.
Yeah. As while we're talking about the nightlife in Australia, it reminds me of when I came to visit Australia, and I had a chance to visit you guys in Brisbane. And I remember a couple of days in January, someone was like, "Hey, we're having this huge party where it's called Australia." And I was like, "Okay, like it's for Australia Day." And you guys are always like making stuff up with drop bears. And I was like, "Yeah, cool. Yeah, Australia Day. Sure. It's a real thing." And I arrive at some house party, and there's like 60 people there decked out in Australia gear, listening to Triple J's, I believe it was. And I remember just being blown back that this was a real thing. And every year I remember the day. It's January 26th. Is that right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So it holds a special place in my heart, Australia Day.
Yeah, I remember being with you at that one. That was a good time.
Yeah, it was good fun. So what kind of drinks do you guys usually, if people are drinking at home, what do people usually drink down there in Australia at home?
At home, it would mainly be beers and wines for just mainly lazy drinks. And then more the simple sort of style, bourbon and cokes and everything like that people run through. Up in Brisbane, unfortunately, we get a lot of people that smash down a few Bundy and Cokes, which is a interestingly tasting rum. Not my first choice by a long way, but it is very popular. So a lot of that goes down. I don't think we got you on the Bundys when you came over.
I can't remember what it was. I remember someone throwing out a goon, and I mean, I know it's not a thing to be broadcasting about drinking goon, but it was part of the Australian experience. We had that, and I remember we had some Triple X or something like that. But I wanted to ask you about is this true or not? Because in America, we were always told that Foster's was the beer of choice in Australia. Do people drink that like they promote it in the States?
You'll be pretty hard pressed to find a bottle shop that sells Foster's over here.
Yeah.
Very big Australian beer that's never drunk in Australia.
Yeah. I think this was like pre-Instagram, pre-Facebook days. It really marketed strong, and everyone in the States, whenever you heard of Foster's, you're like, okay, everybody in Australia is drinking this. But when I went there, I was surprised that nobody drinks Foster's.
Yeah, same thing in the UK as well. UK will have every pub, or used to have, Foster's on tap, and as soon as you roll in, they're like, "Oh, Australian, yeah, we get your Foster's." And you're like, "Why am I drinking Foster's? You don't drink that Yeah, you do. Like, no, I don't. Man. But to be fair, if you're Australian walking a bar, you get a free beer. You're not too sad about it either. So yeah, I'll drink a Foster's. Well, oof. And it's tasty now. But yeah, it's, we'll take whatever's free in front of us. Don't get us wrong there. But generally, not drunk in Australia too much.
Yeah. What were some of the beer brands you guys have there? I'm just trying to remind myself. Was it Triple X one of them or something like this? Or I can't remember them. It was so long ago. What were some of the beers you have down there? The beer brands.
Good old 4X. We call it. We've got a lot of the craft beer movement. It's gone huge lately these days. So a lot of microbreweries, much like in America. I was over in Wisconsin 2 years ago now. And we just sort of, I don't know where I was having breakfast, somewhere a little bit famous. And we got out and you could sort of see Milwaukee and just see all these like microbrews with their big signs up, and I thought it was amazing. But right now I live in Tenerife in Brisbane, and we've got 3-4 breweries within walking distance from us, which is never heard about sort of 5-6 years ago. But yeah, so now microbreweries are really popping up and having a good go.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine what famous breakfast place is in Milwaukee, and I hope it's not a Denny's that you're talking about. But
I had photos of like Michelle Obama and Trump and stuff like that. Michelle Obama sat here and Trump sat here, and really hungover, so I didn't really take too much notice, to be honest. But I was like, oh yeah, cool. Food, please.
That's pretty cool. And so, yeah, these microbreweries are kind of popping up all over the place. And one thing that was kind of interesting, I had a chance to visit the Anheuser-Busch factory in Jacksonville, and they were giving us a little bit of history on it. And maybe tell me if I'm right or wrong, but they were saying that like a lot of these microbreweries, what they're doing is these big companies are like also offering to buy them out so they can give them distribution throughout the country or whatever. But they preserve that mark, so it's still kind of branded as that kind of like, oh, this is craft beer, but it's actually owned by, some big companies.
It's happening in Australia as well. So you get a local brewery that'll get a really good cult following, and then a big company will go around and buy it up. And for the breweries, it sort of makes sense. You're like, there goes your financial worry, and you can sort of get away with it and keep making your beers, and then it gets shipped all across Australia / internationally maybe as well. So it helps out on their behalf. But yeah, if you just, a lot of them have been brought up in the last sort of 2 years, being part of a bigger company. But they keep making it the same way. We don't really stress about it too much.
Absolutely.
There's a few places that are sort of beers dropped off. You're like, nah, see you, buddy. And they're a bit. But a lot of the guys, especially around where we live, a couple of guys have been brought up. But yeah, still making good beers. So keep drinking them.
Good.
Support more beer.
Yeah. Very good. Excellent. All right. So bring us to our next drink that you'll be making up for us.
Yeah. So we got a Margarita on now, which is really, what do I write down for my recipe? There we go. So we're using a Highlands Blanco tequila. So nice and sort of, a lot of agave notes that are going through there.
What kind of tequila is that again? One more time, Mark.
This is Siete Legues, so 7 horses.
Siete Legues?
Yeah. Oh, slap it right up there. Where is it? I can't see, my head's in the way.
Yeah, you got it. Perfect. Excellent. And how much of that did you pour in?
60 mils. But any nice 100% agave tequila is spot on for this bad boy. Highland or lowland doesn't really matter too much. But as long as it tastes good, as long as it's 100%, that's all that matters. As Sean Robert Toundro will tell you there, being the Mexican that he is. So we slap in some Cointreau as well. This is not the bottle that Cointreau comes in. I couldn't find it, so I just had a stole one from a place to use for convenience. And then some fresh lime juice as well. The old saying, fresh is best. So about 25 to 30 mils of that as well. And this guy here, as you alluded to earlier, does come in a little rimmed glass.
Oh,
okay.
Are you prepared? Oh, wow. You are fast at preparing those. Look at that.
Oh, yeah, I'm a ninja, man. It's a little salt rimmed glass. Works out really well. Then we just shake that bad boy up again.
How do you make that rim with that rim cover?
Yeah, it's too easy. Basically, if you happen to be cutting up some fresh limes and squeezing some juice, if you cut it into wedges, you can just lightly rub it around the ends. You don't want to be too thick, just a little light thing. So the theory is the salt goes on your lips, not in your mouth. So it comes through eventually, not straight away. And salt obviously will expand the flavors of the drink and make it a little bit more enjoyable than what it always was.
Cool. So I guess me using saliva over the last years is probably not the liquid of choice.
Sorry?
I said me using saliva over the last couple of years is probably not the fluid of choice.
Mate, dealer's choice. You go with whatever works for you. As long as you find a recipe that makes you happy, that's all you need. We give that a good shake. And then this guy here, for a lot of drinks, going in a little coupette or a martini glass or something like that, Nick and Nora, you double strain them so you take all the ice out. Personally, I like to single strain it, so just keep the big cubes out, but put the little bits in there. Was that fit? Beautiful. Look at the funkin'. And that's your margarita there. So the little bit of ice will give you a little bit of chilling sensation as well. So keep it nice and fresh and easy drinking. And
so you let a couple of the cubes inside?
Not the cubes, just little shards. So when you shake it up, it breaks down the ice a little bit to get little bits in there. And so it gives a little bit more refreshing and keeps the drink a little bit more chilled if you're taking your time drinking it as well.
And when are some good times to have a margarita? Usually summertime or any special occasions?
Oh, summertime's definitely best. For a margarita, I find they go down very quickly. Pair with a nice chilled beer beside it, and you can wake up pretty sad tomorrow. Pretty well. I've got 3 people here all on their phones, absolutely not getting a part of my margarita. I feel a little bit offended here. My co-workers are really dropping the ball here. There we go. One's taking it finally.
What's the feedback on the margaritas?
Muy bien was the feedback.
Wow. Well, look at that. You learn Spanish by drinking. I love it. We're all about learning here.
So it's a multi-educational platform, this one.
Yeah. And Mark, I had a quick question. I think you might have mentioned it earlier, but what type of tequila do you find best for margaritas?
I need to stab myself with a knife there. Blanco or Reposado tequila. So Reposado will be lightly aged and a little bit of color in it. Or a Blanco. So Blanco will be either unaged or aged up to about 60 days. Barrels or stainless steel. So this guy here, nice and clear. So you're tasting more straight tequila or more of the agave flavors, which is what the tequila come from. Sorry, got the hiccup. And for the flavors.
Mark, you had a chance to go to, if I remember correctly, you had a chance to go to Mexico. Is that correct?
Yeah. Went to Mexico. So went to a few distilleries over there, which is a pretty good experience. So Patron, Herradura, Fortaleza, Jose Cuervo, Solza. Yeah, I think that's it. Hopefully. So went to a few different distilleries and sort of saw how they were making it and how everyone made it sort of differently and what their ideas were behind it as well. It's a pretty interesting place to go to. I was pretty uneducated in the ways of Mexico, so we got a little bit wild when we probably shouldn't have. Made a bit of a fool of ourselves a few times, but that's all educational purposes, so it happened all right. Jalisco, basically, we flew into Jalisco, Guadalajara, and sort of went out from there, which is where all the tequila generally comes from. So it comes from 5 different states, 5 different areas in Mexico, and pretty much all the stuff we get in Australia comes out of Jalisco, either the highlands or the lowlands there, or highlands and the valleys. Sorry. So it's if you're going there and you haven't had a big night and you're starting to drive up to the Highlands or something like that, word of advice: don't sit in the back of a really, really bad suspension van. My boss and I did that, and we were absolutely green. By the time we got to the distillery, we're just like, ooh, just this of straight tequila at 10 in the morning. We were fairly dusty.
Yeah, Mark, I'm just curious. When I was in Kentucky, they have like a whiskey, because they have a lot of whiskey distilleries, and they have this like whiskey trail you can do. Do they have like a tequila trail or something where you can have a chance to visit all these distilleries that are nearby? Or
not yet, that I know of anyway. But Jose Cuervo does have a train that takes you straight to their distillery, which is a baller-looking train. But yeah, as soon as you get to the town of Tequila, where Fortaleza, Jose Cuervo, Solza, and Arete, it's another one I went to actually, dope distillery. They're in walking distance of each other. So they farm the agaves in the surrounding hills, bring them all into the distillery, and basically process them from there. Cool. Yeah, like Arete and Fortaleza are one street away from each other. So you just sort of stroll in there, probably organised. We had a big organised trip, so we just had to sit back and get drunk and learn.
That's always good.
Yeah, we did. We did that very well. So it's an interesting part of town to go to. All like cobblestone roads and everything like that around Tequila Town, which is pretty dope. And then you got the Highlands as well, which is a little bit more spread out. So it's not as sort of close in. But it's definitely worth, if you're a fan of tequila, definitely worth a trip going down there, just for a bit of a look around to see what you can see.
What city is that in?
Tequila, the city of Tequila.
Oh, wow.
Tequila, over in Mexico. So yeah, so it's where the tequila got its name from, and sort of it all derived from that land. There's a lot of very romantic stories of why tequila got its name of Tequila and why it was settled there. I think it's probably a little bit more marketing than anything else, but they're very interesting stories. You've got to sell your product. You sell your product. As long as it's good, people keep drinking it.
Yeah. And speaking of products, we have a question here from Carlos. He's actually living in Mexico, and he said, "What is your opinion on pre-made margarita mix?"
If you want to party, you want to party quickly, yeah, go for it. Yeah, nothing wrong with it at all. The other thing is, like, we just made a margarita there, and it only consists of 3 products, so it's pretty easy. By yourself, if you want to use a whole bottle, by yourself, 2 bottles of tequila, 1 bottle of either triple sec or Cointreau, and some lime juice, because the ratio is basically 2 parts tequila, 1 part Cointreau, to a little bit under of lime juice. So just shake it up as you go. So it's an easy recipe to sort of run. There's a lot of more detailed cocktails that you need like a pre-batch thing for. Look, if you just want to, especially if you want to just slap it in a blender or something like that, well, start to party off well. Pour that in, pour the tequila in, blend it up with some ice and put it in your glass. It's nothing wrong with that as well. Cool. I think the main sort of philosophy I get behind with margaritas and tequila and everything like that is just using 100% agave tequilas. So there's basically this, cocktail, absolute tequila nerd here. I swear I wasn't going to do this, but I will. So there's 2 different types of tequilas. One's 100% agave, like this guy, and one's called mixto, or non 100%. So basically, all the fermentable sugars that make alcohol, there we go. In this guy here, comes from the agave plant, and the other guy, mixtos, it needs to be a minimum of 51% of sugars will come from the agave plant, and everything else can be made up from usually just a raw grain that they'll distill. So it's still tequila, it's just a different style, but 100% agave is definitely sort of what you want to get onto. So I don't know, to drink better, drink smarter, drink better. There was a big push in Australia and globally a few years back saying don't drink more, just drink smarter. So I think this sort of pushes around that as well. So instead of just going out and slapping 1,000 drinks, go out and drink a little bit less. You won't feel as bad in the morning. And if you drink better products, you'll feel a bit better as well, hopefully.
Yeah. Quality over quantity, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, quality actually, see if you can do it.
But you weren't saying that when you were 22, Mark. I remember that.
Didn't mind a $4 jug of beer at fight night. It was good on a Thursday.
Oh man, it was such a pleasure having you guys in Chicago visiting as well. And you guys, remember, we're taken aback by all the our cheap beer, and especially relative to the price in Australia.
Beers and stuff like that. We don't get that over here. They're like $10 for anything nice. So yeah, we were pretty excited by it.
That was good. Very good. Excellent, Mark. Thank you for that history of tequila. It seems like you know so much about it, and thank you for giving us a history. So what's going on? What's next on our recipe list?
Next, we got the following on drink from the Margarita, which I think is really cool, which is the Tommy's Margarita. So made up over in America, over in San Fran by Julian Bermejo. Sorry if I said that wrong, my man. But he basically, his family owns a restaurant called Tommy's Mexican Restaurant over in San Fran. And the cool thing about this drink is he didn't strive for it to be anything special. So it was created in the late 80s, early 90s by Julio. And it's basically 100% agave. His push was to have people drink better and 100% agave tequilas. So right now, I was just looking on his website the other day because pretty bored at home during COVID, so you may as well Google stuff. And he's got a mountain of tequilas on his back bar, and I was just going through his tequila list, and it's just phenomenal, like things you just never see in Australia. So I was a little bit jelly. So we're watching that, but his big push was we want to really push tequila, the love for agave, and to make a drink. And this is created back in the late 80s, early 90s when all the cocktail scene was really like sugar heavy. So using bright liqueurs, the movie Cocktail was filmed back then. So all those like pretty drinks with cream and everything flying around. Not so great on the actual palate, but really did get those boys pretty drunk back then. So his big push was we want to sell 100% agave tequilas. And we want to sell a lot of it. So there's a story going around that he had a rep come up to him and say, "Oh, why don't you use our triple sec, so our Cointreau? It's really good. You won't even taste the tequila in your drink." And he replied to him, "Why do I want to do that when I want to push and want to teach everybody about tequila, do them tasting flights and things like that?" So it's really pushing it before the bell curve of everything sort of like took off with tequila. So his recipe is pretty easy. So you use tequila. Always 100% agave for the old Tommies, and 60 mils of that bad boy. And to enhance, where to put my lid? There we go. To enhance the agave notes in it, instead of using a Cointreau, which is an orange liqueur, he uses agave nectar. So the sugar is basically made from the plants or comes from the plants. So that gives it, highlights more agave notes in your drink. Mm-hmm. And it gives that a little, get in there. And lime juice. Well, what do we do? So about 20 mils of agave nectar and about 30 mils of lime.
So you're also using agave nectar, right, Mark?
Yeah. So yeah, it's agave nectar. So it's basically, it tastes sort of like a honey. If anyone hasn't tried it before, it's really big. We got a huge boost a few years ago, and prices went up for it in Australia. I don't know about anywhere else when the paleo thing took out. So everyone was smashing that down, but I think the paleo diet slowly died down now. It's a bit more chilled. So yeah, it's pretty rarely available. If you can't find it at a supermarket, be a health food shop or something like that. So yeah, basically, agave looks like an aloe vera plant-esque sort of thing. So big leaves coming up. So you chop that down, heat it up, squash it, and the nectar comes out, which they generally make tequila from, or they can make their nectar for a bit of sweetness. So that go there. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So 3 ingredients again. Make it nice and simple for myself. Work smarter, not harder.
We got tequila, we got agave, and we got lime. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah. So you just take out the Cointreau, so take out a bit of orange flavour, and just put in the agave nectar in there. So we shake this bad boy up again.
Your right bicep must be getting bigger than the left one with all that shaking over the years, huh?
I'll turn the other way around next time and see what happens. Give me rate me out of 10. So this one actually is served on the rocks in your chilled glass. So just like that bad boy. It was a lot bigger before it started melting, but it should be right. And just strain that guy in there.
And Mark, I might be a total noob. What's with the glass change? Does it matter or no?
Or generally, if you're in a bar, you're going to be using these 1,000 times a night. So just for the Tommies, it's just generally served in one. Usually served in one anyway, and with a little lime wheel on it. There's a big debate whether it does have a salt rim or it doesn't. I don't like mine with a salt rim, hence I didn't. That's personal preference. If you're a bartender, you generally ask, but apart from that, you just sort of wing it and see what happens. Well, yeah, that's a party right there. Volunteer. Oh, there we go.
Love the volunteer there.
Yeah.
Feedback on the Tommy.
Sorry.
What's the feedback on the Tommy?
What's the feedback on the Tommy's Margarita?
Good.
We got 2 thumbs up and a good.
Okay.
So yeah, the crowd goes wild, absolutely wild. Yeah, so it's a big. More on just quickly another little thing on Julio Bermejo, the guy that invented the Tommies. He actually flew over to, he's from San Fran, flew over to the UK with the president of Mexico. And went to the UK and to France, and him and a few other guys actually pushed forward for to get tequilas to be regionalised like champagne, so dominion of origin. So saying tequila can only come from a certain area of Mexico or a certain area in the world. So same sort of thing as like champagne, cognac, and everything like that. And so back in, I think it was 2001, they flew over and did that. And because of that, he got recognised as the ambassador of tequila to North America, which is a pretty dope role. Unfortunately, he doesn't give him any money for it, but it's a pretty dope role anyway. Yeah, sort of a big push behind that to get everybody sort of drinking 100% agave tequilas. Quick water.
Mm-hmm. And when are they going to make you the ambassador of tequila for Australia?
You've seen me after a night at the pub, mate. I'm rubbish as a person that wants to be seen ambassadoring anything. No, definitely not me, my friend. Definitely not me. Someone doesn't get too excited around liquor like I do.
Very good. Thank you so much for sharing the Tommy Margarita. It seems like a nice twist to the original Margarita and a little bit of that history. So moving on, what we got next on the plate?
All right, I think we're going to have time for. Yeah, we do. Sweet. So we got probably one of my favorite cocktails. We'll bang through it pretty quickly, which is a Daiquiri. So as oh Jesus, the crowd behind me is going wild. Daiquiri, I think, is an amazing cocktail invented back in 1898 by Dr. James Koch, who was a mining engineer down in Cuba, in, would you believe it, the town of Daiquiri. Sort of made out of necessity, not anything glamorous. So he wasn't a bartender. He was just a mining engineer, or just a mining engineer. Probably a lot more smarter than a bartender. I won't take that away from him. But basically, they had a bottle of Bacardi, rum on the wall, some lime and sugar, and that's all they had. So they're just like, I need to get drunk. Let's make some cocktails with this. So they did. So basically, it's what we got here: 60 mils of rum, so 60 mils of Bacardi. Bacardi works really well in a daiquiri, I find. I'd like it if they paid me as well, but it's not happening anytime soon. You got to try, man. 30 mils of lime juice. And the original Bacardi recipe and what they like you to do is use actual fine sugar instead of sugar syrup. But since I have sugar syrup, I'm going to use that. So about 20 mils of that, so a little bit less of your sweet to your sour. Probably a good idea not to put your sugar syrup in an old bourbon bottle as well, but I did that anyway. Let me shake that bad boy up. One of the cool things about after I do this, one of the cool things about the daiquiri is it's a very very good test. We use a bit for a lot of our bartenders to see if they know how to balance a drink properly. So to get a daiquiri that's just right takes a little bit of balance. So depending on how old your lime juice is, everyone's just giving me a bit of curry about saying. But anyway, I'll go this way for you this time.
Yeah, the right step's a lot bigger, Mark. You got to start balancing it out.
Yeah, words of cocktails. Just a really crisp, fresh drink. Probably one of my favorite cocktails ever. Just to get one that's really well balanced. Same with the margarita sort of thing. I like to just single strain these, so get a little bit of ice on there to sort of keep it nice and chilled. That'll about do, I reckon. And you can put a little lime wheel or something like that on there if you want to. But I should do this for a job. Like nominate. But yeah, it's an absolutely delicious drink in its basics form. I think it gets a lot of abuse in blenders and slushing machines and stuff like that, where people don't really a well-balanced drink. Yeah, we want to have something that's nice and sort of easy to drink, really refreshing, crisp. Same sort of thing like the Gimlet we did a bit earlier. But yeah, really refreshing, bright. Fresh lime juice is obviously a big thing for this guy because that's where you're getting a lot of your flavour from. So it's just basically rum and lime, bit of sugar, smash it in there and have a good time. So yeah, it's delicious, hopefully.
Very good. Excellent. Thank you so much. And we have a variation for our last drink that you're going to show us. It's the Hemingway Daiquiri, if I remember.
Yeah, Hemingway Daiquiri. So, this guy was as clean as it go, as I should tell everybody. Hemingway Daiquiri. So, a dope, pretty cool novelist, can write a book, but love to get tipsy. Story goes, he rolled into La Floridita down in Cuba in the 1920s during Prohibition when he was writing a lot of his books. And he rolled in there, said to the owner, Constantino, who was also the bar owner and head bartender. And he said, can you make me a daiquiri? And he's like, yeah, sweet. So I smashed out a normal daiquiri, so rum, lime, sugar. He sat there and he drank and he's like, oh, that's nice. But next one, can I get it? No sugar, double the rum. So back in those days, no liquor licensing laws were a worry back then. So like, yeah, sweet. And slapped it in there. The reason why he drank a lot of sour drinks, very sour drinks, because his dad was actually a diabetic and he had a scientific word, which was a strain, which means he could be a diabetic, so he tried to steer away from a lot of sugar. So he said no rum, no sugar, and just everything else. So it eventually ended up being 60 mils of rum, and then Luxardo maraschino liqueur. So we put about 15 mils of that bad boy in there. And it's a really like a drying cherry liqueur. Goes in a lot of classic cocktails. Probably not used as much as it should be today, but delicious. Then we use about 30 mils of lime. There's this guy. Oh, tell you what, I measured that pretty well for my demo. and about 50 mils of pink grapefruit juice as well. So
Freshly squeezed or the grocery store kind?
Freshly squeezed. This guy here had a back. He has a run out. So Hemingway wouldn't want his with sugar. For the modern palate, you generally put a dash of sugar in. Sugar will sort of give it a bigger mouthfeel as well. To sort of rums and spirits and liqueurs and everything like that are going to be made a lot differently today than they were back in 1920s, 1930s. So if you create your drinks the exact same way, they're probably going to taste the same way anyway. So you may update it to the modern palate. Yeah, sweet. And then we just shake that bad boy up. Oh yeah. His used to be a little bit more rum, a lot more rum actually. His used to be about 90 mils of rum as opposed to my 60, but I've got to walk out of here, so we won't do that. I did it straight on there so you could see the bicep symmetry there. Yeah, lovely little. Oh, I use the pants. There we go. In your chilled glass. Oh man, this is probably up there with my favorite drinks. It's pretty easy when the daiquiri is your favorite to have a Hemingway daiquiri is second favorite, but.
All right.
Ooh. Yeah. Look at this.
Let's give that to audience members over there, and let's get a quick feedback from your audience members on which of the 6 drinks you prepared for us. We had the Martini, the Gimlet, the Margarita, the Tommy Margarita, the Daiquiri, and the Hemingway Daiquiri. Which of those 6 did they like the best?
Which is the best?
Margarita.
Daiquiri.
Martini.
You can't buy this, man. We've got 1 Margarita, 1 Daiquiri, and 1 Martini.
Each their own.
Bloody useless. Yeah. Tell you what, can't make a sour drink. Look at me go. But yeah, so I think I've sent you the recipes and everything for that as well. So if anyone wants to not watch this and write down everything again, they can get the recipes straight to them.
Yeah, fantastic.
So good.
We will include all the recipes in the description. So if you want to try any of the 6 drinks that Mark today prepared for us, including the Martini, the Gimlet, the Margarita, the Tommy Margarita, the Daiquiri, and the Hemingway Daiquiri, we will have all the recipes listed below so you guys can try on your own. But if you do want to watch Mark do it again, we will have replays of this video later on if you do miss his biceps over there. Mark, thank you so much for joining us today from Brisbane. Thank you for getting us tipsy and for sharing some of your knowledge and history of the alcohols that you presented today and the drinks. So thank you so much for that, Mark. And if people are interested, where can they find you or follow you if they want to learn more?
I've got the most old person's social media following in the world. I don't have too much going on, but I've got I don't even know what my Instagram is. What is it? Mark.p, I think.
No, Mark.
Mark.
Hold up.
Someone's trying to figure it out for me. But yeah, just sort of skim around Brisbane, make some drinks, and put them on their Instagram every so often. Sorry?
Mark.us.p.
Mark.us.p apparently is me. Who would have thunk it? Yeah, I'm really huge on the social media thing, which is why it took 45 minutes to get this all set up today. But yes, if you wanted to shoot me a question or needed some info, just definitely shoot it through.
Yeah, you got quite the following here. All your whole fan club is supporting you here and all your good looks. So if you do want to see Mark, he will be in the bars in Brisbane. I'm sure you can find him in one of the high quality establishments out there. So Mark, thank you again so much for for you being on the show and sharing some of your recipes. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully our viewers enjoyed it as well. And we wish you stay safe and have fun over there. All right.
Yeah, cheers, man. I love the bunny ears, the Mickey Mouse ears, and they look lovely. And keep it going.
All right, thanks, man. Take it easy.
Cheers, everyone.
Mark.